My name is Jeff Gibbons. I'm the Grower Relations Manager for Setton Pistachio in Terabella, and I run the processing plant and the huller, and then also deal with growers at Setton Pistachio. We farm a significant acreage of pistachios, several thousand acres, and all those pistachios come to our processing plant, and at the processing plant we hull them, dry them, and process them, then roast and salt and package them. California is really special because you've got the Sierra Nevada mountains on one side, the Coast Range on the other, and in the wintertime it gets cold and foggy, and that fog creates the winter chill, so the pistachios can get a good winter's night's sleep, and then they wake up the next year and everything's good. So the ideal conditions is plenty of water on the west side from the California aqueduct, and then plenty of winter chill due to good foggy conditions in the wintertime. The drought really affected our ability to get the pistachios enough water and enough good unsalty water. We do a peeling operation, and we use the water to carry the pistachios, the pistachio hull, and we like to use a lot of fresh water. Well, during the drought, there wasn't as much fresh water available, so we put in some systems that would recycle the water, that would clean the water, and filter the water to remove the holes back from the water so we could reuse it. So there was a significant effort to doing that, which still wasn't enough. And so we went to another step. As we're looking forward to the Sigma controls, we decided to put in a reservoir to capture all of our wastewater so we would be able to use it more timely on our pistachio orchards. In the past, we would take the recycled water and put that back on the pistachio trees, but in September, the pistachio trees didn't have enough water demand, so now we're putting that water in a reservoir, saving it for the next summer, and we'll put that water on the pistachios the following year to make it more feasible for the pistachio trees to use that water efficiently. At the processing plant, we've been able to recycle 100% of the water by allowing us to use it on the pistachio trees, and that's something that any processing plant can do. As far as the trees go and the orchards, pistachios like a low humid condition in the summertime, so we have converted all of our fields years ago to drip irrigation just to keep the humidity down in the field. What we've seen is that the less water you give the pistachios, the lower quality of the crop and the lower quantity of the yield. So just giving the pistachio trees less water isn't a very good idea. Pistachio roots go down as deep as the soil is. They can go down 25 feet deep. So if you put on an extra irrigation and it's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, the water's still in the ground and the trees can still get that water. So it's a very efficient tree. Another area to be efficient with your water use on pistachios especially is the ability for the ground to take water. So what we've seen is even when people put in drip irrigation, if they don't have the soil conditions right, then the water will sit on top of the ground. You need to have your soil, have an agronomist consult with you on the soil, so when the drip irrigation does go on the ground, it goes right into the ground. It doesn't sit on the surface where it evaporates. So we have seen a mistake that some farmers will make is they don't have the pH in the soil right, they don't have the right agronomy going on in the soil, and when they irrigate it, the water sits on top. So anytime that you irrigate, that water should go straight into the ground and not puddle on top of the ground. So one way to be very efficient with water is make sure you have your soil conditions right. We've always been conserving water. We conserve everything. When you run a processing plant, anything in ag, you want to use all of your byproducts to all their ability. But with water in particular, there's been a real reason to just not try to use as little water as possible, because all your water is going to turn into wastewater. It's going to be dirty. So we've been trying to clean that up. And so what we're doing now is taking all of our wastewater, not conserving as much water in the plant, but using that water, cleaning it up to a level that it can be used for irrigation, and then storing it. And so we can reuse that water. So we're now, instead of recycling the water, we're redeploying that water. So we use it to clean the pistachios, and then it will carry with the water phosphorus, potassium, nutritional benefits for pistachios. We're using that water back on the pistachios. So we're not just recycling the water, we're extracting some of the nutrients from the hull that came from the hull that needs to go back to the pistachios, put that back in our reservoir, and then reusing that on the pistachio tree. So now we don't have to, like when you take a shower, you want to use a lot of water and really get clean. Now with the pistachios, we have the ability to use more water because we're just going to use that precious water now on our pistachios that love that water because it has nutrients and it is given to them at a time when they really need that water. So that's the big change that we've made, and that was an expensive process to do because putting in reservoirs is very expensive, but it's been a plan we're really seeing the fruits of that labor in more ways than one. We would like to see more infrastructure for raising reservoir levels, new reservoirs, more water available for everybody, more ways to put some subsidies to help water districts bring water into their district and percolate it into the ground to just keep replenishing the groundwater. We've never really focused on replenishing groundwater, but now with Sigma coming especially, there's going to be a big effort to put as much water as we can into the ground in the wintertime when water is available to try to replenish the groundwater more than what's currently happening. If you don't take the water through the canal system and put it into what we call sinking basins to sink the water into the groundwater, then it just stays in the river channels and all goes out through the delta. What would be good for the state to do is to try to encourage and help farmers bank more water into aquifers. And I think that some government help. There are some water districts and some growing areas that don't have the ability to bring in surface water from the California Aqueduct or from the Friant, and if there can be some bond money to help put in appurtenances to move that water into different aquifers so aquifers can be replenished. Out in Kalinga specifically, there's an aquifer out there that can hold a lot of water, but it doesn't have any access to the California Aqueduct, so there would have to be a new pipeline put in to recharge the groundwater in that aquifer. So we should do as much ag as we can in California, especially clean ag, where it's just making life better in California. I grew up in the valley, and it used to be, we had some long hot summers and very dusty, and it seems like the more ag we have, the more the cleaner the environment is. We can see a big difference in the air pollution since we have a lot of permanent crops that are always keeping the environment cooler and cleaner.